Hey friends, it's Tracy. Welcome to today's video. I'm excited to share some vintage inspired crafts with you. I had so much fun putting these together, and I'm excited to share them with you today. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Let me share my vintage inspired sweet country crafts. All right, these are some of the supplies I'm using. I have this board that is it's an old weather board. It's about, not quite 14 inches and about almost six inches by 13 3/4, almost 14 inches. Anyway, these are all weather boards that came from an old picket fence that someone gave me, and I just had my husband just randomly cut them down. And so this is an old spring that I have. My father-in-law had an old mattress that he took apart, and he gave me all of these springs. And so I'm going to be using one of those, as well as some muslin fabric to make my hanger because it's going to look very vintage and very cute. Okay, what I did is I took my electric drill and I figured out where I want my spring to attach to my board, and I put in 4 small holes, 2 here and 2 here, and I'm going to just use some wire to attach my spring to my board. And then I put 2 holes there because that's where my muslin fabric is going to go. Then also I'm going to be using some Waverly just chalk paint in my brush and just dry brushing that on. I'm not going to give a really thick coverage because I want it to look a bit whimsy and distressed and vintage. Be doing some shading using this Deco Art Americana paint in milk chocolate, and I have a cup of clean water and my 1/2 inch flat paintbrush. This is one of my favorite ways to shade. I dip half of my brush in paint, the other half in clean water. Then I blend on a paper towel. These are just the blue shop towels that you can get in the automotive section at any place that sells that has like an automotive little section. And so then I'm just going to go around and just add a bit of the brown distressing to my little board here. Now I'm going to use some black acrylic paint to hand letter or hand paint my letters. Now I am using this number 6 flat paintbrush out of my favorite pack. It is in my favorite links if you would like to see the paintbrushes that I do like to use. And depending on what I'm writing will depend on what size brush I'm going to use. And so I am just, I always wet my brush first and then dip it into paint, and then I just hand letter. So I have my letters on there, and just keep in mind that's the reason why I stopped right here, is because I'm going to wire on my spring, and so it's going to say bloom. And then now what I'm going to do is do my happy dots on my the ends of my letters, like I like to do, just using the black paint. I'm going to use a little smaller paintbrush so that I can make my dots nicely. Now I'm going to use some buttermilk paint. This is Deco Art Americana. It is just an acrylic paint and just a thin liner brush, and I'm going to put a swoosh in each of the happy dots, because I feel that that really kind of it brings out my letters and my word and makes it pop. And then I also decided to, once I put my little swooshes in there, I'm like, I'm going to highlight around the letters as well. Also decided to take this real fuchsia, it's a Deco Art Americana color as well, and go around the letters to make them pop. Now I'm going to take my number 2 liner brush and some black acrylic paint, go around the edges to add some doodling. And because this is an old weathered board, as well as this chalk paint, I choose to use the black paint versus my marker, because I know that it's going to not be very bright. And so the paint will make it brighter. Do some splattering, and I like to use a stiff brush and a stick and just go over my bristles toward my body one time. I never go back over it, because then the paint would go on me. When I go over the bristles toward my body, this projects the paint onto whatever I want it to go on. And so I'm just doing black first. I always cover my area because it is splatter paint and it will splatter. And so I will do this, and then I'll go back over and do the buttermilk. To attach my spring to my board, what I have are 2 pieces of just thin wire. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread them through the back of the board, you know, where I had put those holes. And then I'm going to attach it to my spring with the, you know, ends at the top. Then I'm going to curl those ends down, and that is going to be part of my sign. And I like to do that just by curling the ends and making it look like it's part of the project. It looks a little whimsy and rustic, and I just like that little look. So I have my wire twisted on my spring, and so I'm just using my little curling tool that a sweet friend and follower sent to me, and I'm just going to curl these wires down. If you're interested in these curling wires, I do have a link in the description box in my favorite things, if that is something that you are interested in. To fill my spring, I have some of these beautiful spring flowers. This bouquet came from Michael's, as well as some tulips came from Michael's. This greenery bush came from Walmart. And just to kind of tie it all together, I'm using this moss. I'm thinking that this moss came from Hobby Lobby. I'm thinking that this came from Hobby Lobby. It was either Hobby Lobby or Joann's, but I'm going to tie all of this together into this spring and to make it look really cute. Now that I have my blooms the way that I want them, I'm just going to take just a rubber band and just gather those together with a rubber band, just getting it as tight as I can. And then I'm going to take some floral tape and also just kind of tie them all together just so that they stay nice and bundled together. Not to use the muslin fabric because I couldn't get it through the smaller hole. I was going to have to drill a bigger one, and I didn't want to do that. So I'm using this garden wire from the 99-cent store. It's a little bit bigger than the one I get from the Dollar Tree, and but it is pliable that I can twist it around. So I'm going to use this as a hanger for my sign. Cut my wire way too long. I didn't realize it till I had already threaded it through, and then I pulled it. I was like, oh no, that hanger is way too long. I don't need it that long. So I'm just going to cut off some of that, and then I'm using my little curling tool just to curl the ends of it over on itself so that I have the little curly cues, and then that gives me the hanger that I want. So I have all of these trims and ribbons. I also have some muslin fabric that I tore some strips off of. And then I'm just going to put all of these together just to make a messy bow for my bloom decor piece. So this string is from Hobby Lobby in the spring section, and so I just, you know, twisted it around, and I'm going to add that into my bow. And then for the bottom of my bow, I'm just using this white polka dot ribbon from Dollar Tree, just making a couple of loops, making some longer tails, and then I will just clip that or staple it in the middle with my tiny attacher, and then I'm just going to cut that off straight because I'm going to roll the ends of this ribbon. And anyway, so I'm just going to gather all of this together, put all this in the middle, tie it with a or secure it with a pipe cleaner because I get the strongest hold with that, and then I'm going to attach it to my spring. I wanted to try my hand at one of the Smashed Cans decor for spring. They're so super cute. So what I'm starting with is one of the taller cans or taller buckets. This says Flowers and Garden. This is from Dollar Tree. And what I did is I will show you in a second what the tools I use to get off this bottom. I have a piece of fuzz. Get off this bottom, but I'm not quite sure. I haven't really watched a whole lot of tutorials to see what are people using to get this off, because none of my can openers worked. I have an electric can opener and also have the handheld. So I'm going to show you what tools I use to get off the bottom of my can, because I do want to find out, because I am going to be making more of these. Anyway, this can measures about 5 3/4 inches in height from the top to the bottom. And so then when I smashed it, this is what it looks like. And so it did take a little bit of time just to get that bottom off and smash it down. And so once I got all of this secure, I did use some E6000 just to make sure that it was glued down. Okay, first I used this handheld can opener, or it's a bottle opener. It has the little, pointy end on the edge. We've all seen these as kids, or this just reminds me of my childhood. Anyway, I just hooked it there on the bottom, and I just hooked it there on the bottom, and I just went around, and I had to make sure that I did not take my bottle opener or can opener and go in with it, because the ends of the metal would come through here. So once I figured that that was doing that, what I did is I just pushed them in. And so this is kind of like what I'm left with after I got my my cutters out, and also my needle nose pliers. And so this is kind of what I'm left with. And as you can see, those are very sharp, and it does kind of give the little metal edges and stuff. So I just want to just kind of warn you with that. And then my handles fell off during my beading, and that is okay because I'm not going to use those anyway. But I just used my rubber mallet just to beat it. It did take me a little bit of time. I probably should have pulled out my hammer, but I was like, I'm going to make this work. Anyway, so I wanted to make sure that my Flowers and Garden, this right here, was in the middle. And so then now we're going to, and then like I mentioned, I just used some E6000 down here, just made sure that none of the metal, kind of was sticking through, or that it was poking out, so that, over the years, no one would cut their finger. To stick in my can, I'm just going to be putting in some blocks of styrofoam that I get from the Dollar Tree. I put some of this moss in the can. I think I got that from Hobby Lobby. And before I go any further, I do want to put a hanger on it, and I found this wire at the 99-cent store. Now I've had it for a while. It says garden wire, so it is, I guess, in the garden section. Anyway, but it's a little bit thicker than the wire that I get from the Dollar Tree, but yet it's still pliable. So I'm going to use that for a hanger. I pulled out my crocodile that I have on hand. Now I know that this can had the 2 handles, and there's one hole there, but that's too far over, toward the back of the can. So I want it to be more on the side to make a hole, and so I just do that with I just want a small hole. So the crocodile has a little hole puncher, and it's also an eyelet setter. If you are interested in getting a crocodile and you want it sent to you, I do have it listed in my Amazon store. You can find the link in the description box with all of my favorite things. And so, or otherwise you can find it at any craft store. So what I did is I put 2 small holes on the side of my can, and then that is what I'm going to thread my wire into. Sometimes I like to curl my wire, and I can do that by just curling it with my hand, or I'm just using a dowel on this particular wire right here, just kind of my moss. I haven't glued any of that down or anything, so I'm just using my dowel. Or I do have some curling wire tools, some wands that a sweet viewer sent to me. It's these, they look like this. They have the little handles on them, and they're like 4 different sizes of curling wands. I have those also. The link for those is in my favorite links in the description box, because a sweet viewer shared some with me and they work great. You know, the struggle is real when you have so many flowers that you can't decide what to put in your can. And so I pulled out some of these I got from the Dollar Tree. They just say greenery bouquet, and they have a different little flowers on there in different colors. And so I'm going to stick some of those in. I got some of these beautiful tulips from Michael's, as well as some of these flowers. I love bushes or bouquets that have like the textures of the different flowers in it. And then this bush is from Walmart. It is called, let's see what this is called. It's called a mixed greenery bush. It was $3.47 when I purchased it, but it has so many different textures on it. So I'm going to pull out a few of these and stick them into my bucket, and yeah, I'm going to enjoy it for many years to come. And I also have some of this baby's breath that is also from Walmart. I didn't glue my styrofoam in my can, and when I was sticking in my flowers, it was kind of moving around. Usually I thought that this would kind of hold it together, but next time when I make another one of these cans, I'm going to need to glue the styrofoam down in there, which that's not a big deal because I'm just making this for myself. And so then I like the whimsy look, so I'm just putting in some more of this moss and just kind of filling it in around, just to kind of tuck it in and making it look very whimsy and you know, just totally my style. And so anyway, that is going to hang on my wall or my door, just so stinking cute. I hope you love it as well. For the tag that I made for the little flowers and garden bucket, I'm using one of these white wood tags. Now I got them in a bundle from Hobby Lobby, and So I just love to use them. They're already painted white. Some of them are the natural color as well. They come with a little jute string. I think were near the like wedding section, I'm thinking. I've had these for a while. Anyway, so I'm going to use my charcoal gray ink, and I got it out of this pack also from Hobby Lobby, guys. Y'all, I love Hobby Lobby. I'm just going to ink around the edges just to give it some distressing and some color. Sometimes I like to use ink. I also like to use paint, but I just felt like just pulling this out and just kind of go over the face of it. And I love this little pack, and I'm not sponsored by Hobby Lobby. I wish I was, because I love their stuff. Anyway, so then now I'm going to write flowers, 5 cents on here, and just for it to have a cute little tag. I'm just using a chisel Sharpie marker. Now, this is how my tag looks, and I love to do happy dots on my end of my letters, and then I also like to put a dot of white paint in each of the bubbles of the letters just to bring out the letters and just make them pop. Now I'm going to do some paint splatters on my tag, and I just do that by just using a stiff brush and just a stick, running it over my bristles toward my body, so that way the paint projects onto the tag, never away from my body, because then the paint would go on me. So I just want to specify that I just run the stick over the bristles one time. You can also use an old stiff toothbrush. Any stiff brush should work. And to attach my sign, I'm just using that one hole that came from the handle, and I'm just threading my jute on there, being careful if there are any sharp pieces, which there are not. I didn't feel any. Anyway, so I'm just attaching my sign so that it hangs right there on the side. Okay, these are some of the supplies I'm using for this next craft. I found these little slatted little tag things from Family Dollar. I'm also going to be using one of these burlap bags out of this pack. Now this set was from a local dollar store called King Dollar that is in my hometown. I'm also going to be using a different variety of flowers. This is the star of the show. These little cherry blossoms also came from that same dollar store called King Dollar in my hometown. And some of this greenery, I'm going to be using some pip berries, some styrofoam, some excelsior. I love this excelsior. I'm going to make a cute little blossom tag, some of these ribbons and trims, and also fabric to make my cute bow. I'm going to use my antiquing wax and a baby wipe to put some color and stain on this little picket fence. Okay, this is how my sign looks after I have it all stained with the antique wax. So then now I have my little burlap bag, and I'm just going to cut a piece of styrofoam because this block is a little too big to put in there. So I'm going to just stick that in there, and I'm going to put some Excelsior, some of that ivory Excelsior that I like to use in my country crafting, and I'm going to put that in there just to give it a bit of whimsy. Make a small tag for my pouch here, my little bag, and so I'm just using my fine Sharpie marker, and I am just going to hand letter Blossom. I think it's appropriate with the little cherry blossoms. So just using my favorite distress ink, my vintage photo, and just a little finger dauber, I am just going to go around the edges of my tag. Just doing what I like to do, just give it a little distressing. I'm also going to give it an aged look by just kind of bending it back and forth, kind of crumpling it up like that. I'll be using some ribbons and trims as well as this fabric to make a cute bow for my little decor. I also cut a few pieces of this burlap ribbon with white polka dots as well as some muslin fabric to put a lot of texture and colors into my bow. So I just attached my bow right here to the top, just threaded that pipe cleaner through there and then just glued it down. And then I'm going to attach my tag on the side here just with a small safety pin. Now I used my friend Linda, who is Faith Chic 777 here on YouTube, and she has a video that I will link to of how to rust small metals like this. I used her technique and it worked great. For the hanger, I just cut off the little jute hanger that was included with this little slatted board, and so then I'm just going to tie some muslin on just to make a hanger for the board.